It's D-U-E-U tell. I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.
Welcome to Football Game Plan's NFL All 32. I am Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and today we're going to preview the Las Vegas Raiders. And before we get started, let's take a look at some of the key storyline heading into the season as we go into our 4-minute offense. For the first time in its 61-year history, the Raiders will call home somewhere outside of the state of California, as they are now the Las Vegas Raiders. It still feels weird to both say and see, but at least the logo, the colors, the nickname, and the history are still the same. And as part of the move to Sin City, the Raiders will get a brand new state-of-the-art place to call home, and that's Allegiant Stadium. And what makes all of this weird is that they will break in a new city and a new stadium in this COVID-19 realm that we're in, more than likely without fans. But the hope is that the on-field play will give the new fans in Vegas and the long-time ones in both California and around the world, for that matter, something to celebrate. Head coach Jon Gruden is entering his third year of his second stint as the Raiders head coach. His team has gotten better each season, from 4-12 to 7-9 last year, with the shot at the playoffs all the way toward the end. It's why a lot of folks are excited about this upcoming season, as they have really bolstered the roster heading into the year. If you go back to his first stint with the Raiders, it was in his third season where he had the breakout 12-4 year after consecutive 8-8 campaigns. After taking that long layoff in television, it seemed like he really got back into the groove of being a ball coach, and his team reflected that level of routine despite all of the obvious chaos that went on prior to the start of the year. Now, the beginning of this season, with the move and the pandemic, I'm sure it's not easy to navigate through, but at least Gruden has shown the ability to be able to manage chaotic situations quite well, which also adds to the optimism of 2020. It is also the second year of general manager Mike Mayock's tenure, and to be completely honest, it has been an impressive start. With the success of last year's draft class and the talented draft class of 2020, along with an influx of talented free agents this year, Mayock has set the team up for success both short and long term. Now, there were questions about Mayock's ability to do the job, having never been a scout and coming fresh out of the broadcast booth straight to being a GM, but so far, so good. And the one thing Mayock was always given credit for is the main reason why he's been successful, and that's his ability to identify talent. It's hard to have a bad football team that's stocked with talent, and if the first years are of any indication, Mayock will have the Raiders talented for as long as he's a GM. One of Mayock's free agent signings this offseason was the former first-round pick and Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota. This caused a bit of a brouhaha in the media, as it almost immediately put the focus on quarterback Derek Carr and his job security, but I think you have to look at it from a different perspective. Maybe this acquisition was to simply strengthen the Raiders' QB depth chart while also giving Mariota the time to learn and develop under Jon Gruden. And yes, if there is anything that happens to Carr, Mariota will give them the best chance to win. But I view this situation as I do the Saints with Jameis Winston, coincidentally the quarterback taking one spot ahead of Mariota in the same draft class. Without preseason games, it'll be tough to get a gauge on how Mariota looks in the offense, but at least he gets to finally go into a season without the pressure of expectations, and we'll see if that helps his game develop long term, whether that's in Vegas or not. Derek Carr is coming off of his best season since 2016, where he helped lead the Raiders to the playoffs before missing them with an injured ankle. And we saw an increase in his yards per attempt to nearly 8 yards. His quarterback rating was 100.8, and he completed 70% of his passes with a 21-8 touchdown to interception ratio. I have always liked Carr as a quarterback, and I'm glad he's taken a more aggressive approach this offseason by saying that he's tired of being disrespected. So we'll see how tired he is of that, as the Raiders have surrounded him with his best collection of skill talent since he's been there. Otherwise, he'll start to hear the voices calling for his backup, the former Heisman Trophy winner Marcus Mariota. And if you're Mariota, you're attacking the situation just like Ryan Tannehill did last year in Tennessee. Play your role, quietly develop and prepare as if you're the starter in case your number is called, and if it is called, be ready to take the job and not give it back. Mariota does provide slightly more athletic upside than Carr in the run game, and maybe that's something that Gruden wants and covets now at the position. And it will be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out, to say the least, because to me, Carr and Mariota are essentially the same player. Josh Jacobs was everything the Raiders hoped he'd be as a rookie after taking him in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft. The former Alabama Crimson Tide ran for over 1,100 yards, averaging a healthy 4.8 yards a carry. He gave the Raiders' run game a slasher who helped balance out the offense. However, he did miss 3 games because of an injury, and the Raiders hope that isn't going to be the case every year. A consistently healthy Jacobs should help pace the run game for as long as he's on the squad. Now, joining him in the backfield this year is an impressive rookie, Lynn Bowden, out of Kentucky. Now, he was a former receiver in college who was thrust into the quarterback role when everyone on the depth chart, literally, not figuratively, went down with an injury, and he led the Wildcats to a bowl game, essentially just running the football 90% of the time. Now, where he can help the Raiders this season is being a multifaceted player, and by being a situational Wildcat quarterback in some cases and also being a receiver out of the backfield that Jacobs was not. He adds an explosive element to the offense and pairs up perfectly with the steady Jacobs. And both Jalen Richard and Devontae Booker give the Raiders solid depth and special teams help, and fullback Alec Ingold enters his second season as the lead blocker, excelling in his role last year for Vegas. Both Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow led the Raider receivers in receiving, just finishing above 600 yards apiece. That was more impressive for Renfrow, who was a rookie, and more of a disappointment for Williams, who was brought in to be the #1 option out wide. Now, granted, he dealt with a nagging injury that kept him out of a few games, but he will have to have a much better season in 2020, while Renfrow proved to be a hell of a pick for the Raiders as he became a favorite target of sorts for Derek Carr in crucial situations. But the excitement comes from 2 incoming rookies in Henry Ruggs III out of Alabama and Brian Edwards out of South Carolina. Ruggs has legit 4.2 speed, and his game, and his speed for that matter, reminds me so much of Joey Galloway. He graded out as our #1 split-end prospect in the draft class, but the Raiders plan to play him in a variety of spots, and Edwards was our #1 inside receiver and plays a lot like James Jones. He's got strong hands and is a very good catch and run guy who thrives versus zone coverage. His body control is tremendous and could factor into the mix on the outside. Vegas also brought in Nelson Aguilar from the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the target of a lot of criticism out there in Philly, which affected his psyche and led to some drops last year, but don't get it twisted, he is a solid run after the catch player that can be used inside as a slot receiver. I thought this was a very underrated acquisition for the Raiders. Depending on how many receivers they keep, the battle will be intense between Zay Jones, Keelan Doss, and Marcel Aitman. The Raiders invested a lot into this position this offseason and expect the biggest competition on the team to come from this receiving core. At tight end, last year's overall leading receiver, Darren Waller, is back after being the only receiving option to crack the 1,000-yard barrier. It was a breakout season for Waller, who hauled in 90 catches, with 53 of them resulting in first downs. The Raiders hope that last season was just a sign of things to come for the fifth-year tight end. Now, they also signed future Hall of Famer Jason Witten this offseason to give them a bit more stability at the position and to help aid the run game. Witten proved last season that he still has value as a receiver, catching 63 passes for 529 yards and 4 touchdowns. But his arrival does stunt the growth and development a bit of second-year player Foster Moreau out of LSU, who is coming off of an ACL tear. Now, maybe it's more of an insurance play than anything, as Moreau definitely figures to be in the Raiders' future plans after scoring 5 touchdowns last year as a rookie. Las Vegas has quietly built their offensive line into one of the better, deeper units in the AFC. They're getting guys back healthy, which should strengthen the group even more so in 2020. Tackle Trent Brown played really well last year before going down with an injury, and the team saw significant growth from third-year player Kolton Miller in his second season. During his rookie year, he was a bit in over his head, but last year he became a much more consistent player. They hope to see the same jump from Brandon Parker, who has been given opportunities to start but hasn't yet found the consistency within his own game, and David Sharp gives him that consistency and also flexibility in being able to play left or right tackle. I think he's a valuable swing player for them up front. Inside at guard, they have 2 really good ones in Gabe Jackson and Richie Incognito. Jackson was dealing with a nagging injury all last season, which affected his play, but now at full strength, he should quickly regain his status as one of the better guards in football. And Incognito was solid last year as well. Remember, he came out of retirement to join the Raiders, so with his second year back on the field, it should yield better results. And I'm excited to see 4th-round pick John Simpson out of Clemson play. I think he's a future replacement for Incognito at the position. He was our number 2 guard prospect in the draft class and is solid in run blocking as well as in pass pro, and was one of the smarter linemen in the draft class. He and Denzel Good give them strong depth on the interior. Good was re-signed this offseason because of his play last year. And Rodney Hudson is arguably the best center in football and is the rock that holds this entire unit together. They've stacked the depth behind him with free agent signing Eric Kush from the Browns and the versatile Jordan Devey, who can play anywhere on the interior. The Raiders have quietly put together a very solid defensive line. Last year was 4th round rookie Max Crosby, who was the pleasant surprise of the group, leading the team with 10 sacks, 16 TFLs, and 14 quarterback hits. Leading the team in all of those categories made you believe that he was the one that was taken 4th overall in the draft and not Clelin Ferrell. Now, it's Ferrell who the team is expecting to make a major jump in his play this season. That figures to be the case as he was dealing with an illness during the beginning of the season that caused him to drop a lot of weight and start to play better toward the back end of the year. They signed Carl Nassib to be a rotational edge guy after racking up 6 sacks last season with the Bucs. He's a very good player to have up front. I've always liked his game, and hopefully with the emergence of Ferrell this year, it'll slide Arden Key back into more of a situational rusher role to take advantage of his length and quickness off the corner. Now, on the interior is where the Raiders are expecting to see a huge jump in productivity. They were stellar versus the run last year, but new defensive line coach Rod Marinelli was brought in to help this unit add pressure to its repertoire. One of the direct beneficiaries of Marinelli's coaching is free agent signing Malik Collins, who comes over from the Dallas Cowboys. He thrived under Marinelli and looks to pair up with Maurice Hurst to form one of the better interior duos in the division. Now, Hurst has been as good as advertised since being drafted out of Michigan and will be rewarded with perhaps more starts this year. Now, Jonathan Hankins played a big role in the defense's ability to stop the run. His ability to anchor and control the point of attack was as consistent as you want it to be on the inside. And Las Vegas also signed the versatile Datone Jones, who can serve in a multitude of roles up front. He'll bring good depth to that defensive line. The Raiders revamped their linebacking core this offseason in an attempt to get more athletic and adding more playmakers on the field at the second level. Now, they were very active in free agency at the position, signing Corey Littleton from the Los Angeles Rams and Nick Kwiatkowski from the Chicago Bears. Now, Littleton is a former Pro Bowler who has a sixth sense for coverage and seems to always be around the football. And I thought Kwiatkowski was much better than given credit for out there in Chicago. He's a very good run defender and pursues the ball really well. And you figure that Nicholas Morrow will get every opportunity to start right out of the blocks for the Raiders, but at some point during the season, he will probably give way to rookie 3rd-round pick Tanner Muse out of Clemson. The former strong safety will make the transition to linebacker with the Raiders to take advantage of his ability to blitz, pursue the ball carrier, and be a lengthy presence in the underneath coverage area. They really like his game and are excited about the potential that he has. And Nick Wilbur was re-signed this offseason because of his presence on special teams and the ability to provide depth at the second level. Most coaches tend to stay away from the word potential, but it's hard not to be excited about the potential of the secondary this year in Las Vegas. The Raiders were impressed with the progress of TRAYVON MULLEN last year as a rookie, who started 10 games and finished with an interception and 10 pass breakups, but he looked like another excellent pick by Mike Mayock. And hoping to strike lightning in the bottle again, the Raiders took 2 excellent corner prospects in this past April's draft in Damon Arnette out of Ohio State and Amik Robertson out of Louisiana Tech. Now, Arnette has very good fluidity for the position and could play any one of the 3 cornerback spots on the field. He figures a push for a starting role opposite of Mullen. And Robertson was our #1 slot corner in the draft because of his instincts and ball skills, and will challenge veteran LaMarcus Joyner for that starting role as the slot corner. But speaking of Joyner, he's looking to have a bounce back year as he made the transition from safety to corner. I feel as though having him more as a 3rd safety would suit his skills a lot better. I think he's a fantastic football player in my opinion. And in free agency, the Raiders added Prince Amukamara from the Bears, giving them a veteran presence on the outside. Plus, second-year player Isaiah Johnson still factors into the mix. He dealt with a lot of nagging injuries last year, a nagging injury last year, and never really got on track. He's a bigger corner like Mullen that has a lot of upside, and Nevin Lawson gives them another veteran presence like Amukamara that has played a lot of football. The safety position welcomes back Jonathan Abram, who was lost for the season after the first game of the year, and prior to that, all throughout the preseason last year, he proved to be a very good pick. He gives them potentially a difference maker back there at safety, and bringing in Demarius Randall from the Browns and allowing him to go back to safety like he played in Green Bay gives him a chance to get back to playing much better ball than what we saw in Cleveland. He plays well in space and should bounce back this season with the Raiders. And good veteran depth here as well with Cowboys free agent signee Jeff Heath and Eric Harris. Harris was thrust into the starting role last year and performed quite well, picking off 3 passes, bringing 2 back for scores, and finishing second on the team in tackles. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by 9th & Lux. Visit the website 9thandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit, financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia. Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Look for Nelson Agholor's surprise at camp. Nothing helps a player more, especially a receiver, than peace of mind, and he has that now in Vegas, and he should blossom as a result of it. Isaiah Johnson is a bigger corner with strong press skills who is healthy now and will remind folks why the Raiders took him last year in the draft. He will have the coaches making a lot of tough decisions out there on the perimeter. Look for the rookie wideouts Henry Ruggs III and Brian Edwards to have impacts as rookies. Both are catch and run guys that have the ability to break the game open. I would expect them to have no shortage of highlight plays this upcoming season. Defensively, Amik Robertson has that dog in him that makes you root for him. He's cut from the same cloth as LaMarcus Joyner, quite honestly, and I can see him having an immediate impact this season. And Damon Arnette already plays a pro game, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him start opposite of TRAYVON MULLEN this year. Derek Carr, to me, is the biggest X factor on offense. There's a ton of talent around him, and he has to be able to deliver, not only because it would help the team get to the playoffs, but it would also help keep the smoke off of him and keep Mariota on the bench. And Jonathan ABRAM returning to the lineup should be huge for the Raiders defense and will be looked upon to be one of the leaders on that side of the ball. I think Kolton Miller is ready for a breakout season. We saw very good progress in his second year, and that confidence earned last season will carry over into this one. And TRAYVON MULLEN was superb last year as a rookie and should pick up right where he left off last season, further cementing himself as one of the young stars on the team. A big reason for optimism for the Raiders is the fact that they had a lot of youth in year one, and year two should yield better results. They were impressive last year as rookies, and I'm excited to see what they have this year in store for their play. And the passing game looks to be very good this year with all of the receiving weapons that they have out there on the perimeter, so you have to be excited about that. And their defense looks to be a lot better this year. They were very good versus the run. I think we'll see the Raiders be able to rush the passer a little bit more and be more active on the back end as far as pass defense is concerned. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic if you're a Las Vegas Raiders fan. The biggest cause for concern would be if the defense doesn't make that jump and become like we believe their offense will be. If this defense still struggles to collectively get sacks, turn the ball over, struggle inside the red zone, keeping teams out of the end zone, then this defense could be the reason why they don't make the playoffs in 2020. The road to the Super Bowl for the Raiders goes as follows. Situational football has to improve significantly. That's third down offense, third down defense, red zone offense and defense, special teams. If they can improve significantly in those aspects, this team can be really good. And their playmakers have to stay healthy. That's guys that you're counting on, your Jonathan Abrams, your Cleveland Farrells, your guys out there on the perimeter. Derek Carr has to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they have a chance. And if the secondary starts to turn the ball over, then this team definitely can find themselves playing bonus football in the winter, early in February. I have the Raiders finishing third in the AFC West. I think this football team that finished 7-9 last year will end up with a winning record in 2020. The good part about that is the fact that there's now a 7th playoff spot available, and we saw the Raiders fight for a playoff spot last year late in the season. I think they can get that 7th playoff spot. The one thing that keeps me a little bit caution about this team being second in the division is that you worry about all of the moving pieces on defense. They added a lot, and you hope that is able to gel quickly and become productive. If they can gel quickly, then this team can challenge for that 2nd spot in the AFC West. But I do think the Raiders will have a winning record and be in position to steal that 7th spot in the playoffs in the AFC. So that's it for this edition of Football Game Plan's NFL All 32. I am Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to check out and subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/footballgameplan. Also subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast and leave us a 5-star rating. That's where you can find our NFL All 32 podcast. And keep it locked here on the Football Game Plan YouTube channel, where we will have a ton of Raider related video content coming down the pipe.
It's D-U-E, you tell I see you by this point, you're reading my mind. It's time for football. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, man. We about to keep this thing moving. I'm about it, you're with it, let's do it. We gon' make this thing official, you heard me? If you're the best, then let's prove it. The goal is set to have a team become a unit, yeah.